Hello and welcome. I am excited to share with you 5 publications as part of this week's Top 5 of the Week. Let's dive in. First is the 2022 State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World that puts forward evidence that the number of people who are unable to afford a healthy diet around the world is approximately 3.1 billion. It also highlights drivers of food insecurity and malnutrition, including conflict, climate and extremes and economic shocks, combined with growing inequalities. Recommendations include governments repurposing resources to prioritize food consumers and to incentivize sustainable production, supply, and consumption of nutritious foods, as well as making healthy diets less costly and more affordable for all. Second is one of the first country-specific climate development reports by the World Bank, and it covers the G5 Sahel countries, including Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Mauritania, and Niger, who are facing climate shocks which are contributing to losses in outputs and potentially devastating ecological and economic tipping points in the region. The report examines the most crucial actions and policy adjustments needed to accelerate the region's economic recovery, sustainable and inclusive development, and adaptation to the impacts of climate change. 3 key takeaways from the report are: 1. The opportunities for resilient and lower carbon development of the G5 countries are significant. 2. Rapid, resilient, and inclusive growth is both the best form of adaptation to climate change and the best strategy for meeting development goals in an effective, sustainable, and productive manner. And 3, the cost of inaction are far greater than the cost of action. Early and targeted action on policies and programs presented in the report can move the G5 Sahel countries towards a greener, more resilient, prosperous and inclusive future. Next is an OECD policy paper titled Social Protection for the Forcibly Displaced in Low and Middle Income Countries, a Pathway for Inclusion. It sheds light on the plight of forcibly displaced persons from low-middle income countries with a focus on how host countries can extend the coverage of national social protection systems to accommodate them. It presents case studies from countries including Afghanistan, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Colombia, Costa Rica, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, Iraq, Sudan, and Uganda. The number of forcibly displaced persons has surpassed 100 million in the light of the Russian-Ukraine war and other conflicts. My recommendation number 4 is about making the most of the African Continental Free Trade Area, leveraging trade and foreign direct investment to boost growth and reduce poverty. The report highlights the gateways to Africa's increased prosperity through the closer economic cooperation the AfCFTA promises. It estimates the potential economic and social benefits of the AfCFTA in terms of boosting trade, attracting foreign direct investments, enhancing participation in global value chains, accelerating economic growth, reducing poverty, and increasing shared prosperity. The report discusses the political economy of success and the steps necessary to turn the AfCFTA promise into reality. The report is by the World Bank and the AfCFTA Secretariat. Last is a report focusing on the graduation of African least developed countries and the emerging issues in a new development landscape. African countries account for 33 out of the 47 least developed countries globally, and since the inception of this category by the United Nations in 1971, only 3 countries, namely Botswana, Cabo Verde, and Equatorial Guinea, have graduated out of the LDC status. According to the current graduation criteria, an additional 4 African countries may be found eligible to graduate by 2030. This paper zones in on the growth experiences of African least developed countries and examines some of the challenges faced in escalating out of this category. It argues that African least developed countries missed an opportunity to capitalize on the commodity price boom of the late 2000s and recognizes the significant progress being made in terms of human assets accumulation in Burkina Faso, Burundi, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Rwanda, and Senegal. However, this is still below the threshold criteria for graduation according to the Human Assets Index. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful week and stay safe.